Hi, as promised, I'm back with the video for blouse making. I'll be doing it in parts because my phone is not able to take any large video. Today I'll be doing the marking on the template and I'll show you how I've marked on my fabric. I'll be cutting it and stitching it in the next video. I'll be doing it as quickly as possible to reduce the load on my phone. You'll need a reference blouse, you'll need a chart paper or a thick calendar sheet, marking pencils or chalks, or just a regular pencil is enough if the fabric is a light color fabric. Uh, Now I've already done the marking. I'll explain to you what I've done. Take a well-fitted blouse that is good on your belt area. The neck is fine. The total fitting should be fine. In that way, you know, you will not be making any mistake with the measurement because somebody has already done it for you. The only problem that will arise or what will go wrong is if you place it wrongly and make your template. So be careful while placing it for your template. On a chart or a calendar sheet, place the blouse, iron it out well, button it up really well, and tuck in all the sleeves. And since the fabrics tend to wrinkle a bit, it is better to stretch them up and make your markings. It will be a good idea if you can pin it up, stretch it and pin it up on your sheet. You will be taking a reference line 1.5 inches above your straight edge of the chart. Above the reference line, you will place your blouse like how I have placed it. The back, side portion is exposed. The what comes at the back is folded and kept. The midpoint is kept in here. The sleeves are kept on top. The shoulder and sleeves. Now pin it up nicely and stretch and mark the shape of the blouse onto your chart. I've made the red markings show the shape. You'll need this point. You'll need the point under the underarms where it joins the sleeve. Then you will need to mark the point where the shoulder and the sleeves join. Then this portion is really important, how you lay this portion, because this decides the neck finish. Most people end up having a sliding neck around their in their blouses. That's because they have not placed the neck portion properly. So place the neck portion properly in such a way that it is totally flat, it is lying flat on the chart. There are no wrinkles, creases. Don't push it out, don't pull it in. It should be just perpendicular to this line that you have drawn, the reference line. Nicely iron it out with your hands also while placing. Mark the place where the shoulder and the arms join. Then mark the neck portion where it starts and where the neck portion ends. Make all these markings and remove your reference blouse. Now, you're able to see the red dotted lines. This is where my reference blouse was there. So, join those dots, the important joints, and join them off. Now, what you will do is hope you're able to view it properly. On the side, take 2 inches on the side. Make a mark near the head portion, 2 inches away, and a mark on this portion under your armhole, 2 inches away. Join it. And the distance, this is what is your seam allowance. If you have a very fluctuating body, it is better to take a 2-inch seam allowance. If you are not having a very fluctuating body, then it is okay to take a 1.5-inch seam allowance. And if you are a beginner, it is always safer to take extra than less. So a 2-inch should be fine. That will give you more room for adjustment. Now in the armhole, there should be a 0.5 seam allowance. So take 0.5 inch seam allowance. So make a mark above 0.5 inches on this curve. For the top of the shoulder, it should be 0.5 inch seam allowance. For the side of the neck, it should be 0.25 inches, that is quarter inch seam allowance. Hope you are able to see what I have done and it is clear. And in this portion where you have drawn your reference line, draw a slanted line because you will be folding this and stitching this up. I hope it's very clear. And this, what I have written here is how you place your fabric when you are tracing it out on your fabric from this template. Now cut this out. It is a two-fold on the fabric when the fabric is going to be placed. I'll show you the sample. Once you cut out, you will have something like this that is ready. This is your template for the back. Using this, you will prepare your template for the front. Place this on the next bit of chart that you have. You will not be using your blouse for doing the basic tracing. Trace out this back portion onto your chart, but you will be doing a little variation there. Okay. Now, let me show you what I've done. I've traced out this. Okay. Now, in my back portion, this was slanted. This line on the side was slanted. Here, I will not slant it. I draw a straight line down once I traced it. Okay. And then the neck in the back would have been much lower. Here, I will mark it with my reference blouse. And for the armhole, you would have traced it from your back portion. Take 0.5 inch depth in the midpoint of it, and trace out a little more deeper arm in this. Hope you are able to see it. Now take your reference blouse, use the reverse side of it to make the markings, necessary markings. I've chosen a blouse where the top and the bottom are of different colors so that I can show you the exact difference. In the front portion, there will be a top component and a belt component. We'll first be making the top component, then the belt component. So on the reverse side, hold it at half the distance on the shoulder, find the midpoint, hold it there. The seam allowance will be seen there, so you don't have to add seam allowance on the shoulder. There is a dart in between that meets the belt that runs through the middle portion. Hold that dart, the tip of that dart. Stretch the fabric. Keep it on your in the middle of the shoulder, on your reference line. Stretch it and mark where it ends on your paper. When you stretch it, it will be ending at a little lower point. You will be able to see it. I marked it on my paper. Mark that point. The next point that we will be marking is this, on the side where the armhole and the side meet. Find the point where it meets the belt, then keep the armhole. The seam allowance is not visible here because I've folded and stitched it. So keep it a little, give that seam allowance and keep it a little lower on the reference line. My seam allowance would be around 0.5 inches. And stretch it up really well and mark this point. Since you will be drawing a straight line, you will be marking it here. Ignore this line. You will be marking it here. Now, next comes the neck. You will be using the portion where the hook of the button comes, hook of the blouse comes. That will show you the exact portion. Place the neck on the reference line that is drawn. Place the shoulder on the reference line. Since you will be using the front portion, give the seam allowance and then place it below the, on the seam allowance area. Place it really flat. Hope you are able to see it. And keeping it on the seam line and stretching it and placing it flat as I can. It will be a little inside this reference line because there should be a seam that has gone in, so that difference will definitely be there. Mark the neck point where it ends. Okay. Now take out your reference blouse, and now you would have marked this point on the below the neck zone. Mark 0.5 inches below it. Mark 0.5 below this this marking, and 0.5 below this marking. Join them to make a curve. Okay. And in the neck, draw a straight line. Here also you will be taking the 0.25 inch above the neck point that you would mark for the seam allowance. Draw straight lines, and just in the place where it is going to get intersected, draw a curve. So that makes it your curve for the neck. So the front portion of the neck is ready. Once you cut it out, you will have something like this. Okay. Next, you will be doing your sleeve. Iron out the sleeve flat and use it up. Here too you will be drawing your reference line 1.5 inches above the baseline. Mark it. 1.5 inches above the edge of the sheet. Then place the sleeve ends there. You will have to stretch it up a bit and mark because the fabrics tend to wrinkle a bit. Mark the tip of the sleeve, mark the tip of the armpit, and mark the portion where it joins the shoulder. Remove the reference blouse. Join the lines. The red dotted lines are those that are drawn with the help of the reference blouse. Now what you will do, you will take 2 inches from on the side as we did in the body of the blouse. This is your seam allowance 2 inches. Draw a line and 0.5 inches as seam allowance for your armhole curve. Join them. In this portion where we are having the extra 2 inch, it will be a straight flat line. And on in the portion below the reference line, it should be a outward slant. That's it. So your sleeve portion is done. Now, what have I written here? I have written 4-fold. On the fabric, you will take a 4-fold when you place it on the fabric. I'll show you the samples for that too. Next portion is your belt portion of the blouse, for which take your reference blouse and measure its height and its width and length. Don't use the hoop portion. Measure the width and length. Just the length, okay? Length and width. Note it down. Draw a rectangle for that length and width with seam allowance. You will take a seam allowance of totally 1.5 inches in height and 2 inches on your sides. Say if your width was 3 inches and your length was 7 inches, you will be having it as 4.5 inches for your height and 2 inches extra for your length, which will be 9 inches for you. So I have drawn a rectangle of 4.5 inches and 9 inches, taking into account the seam allowance. Now find the midpoint of this and take 3/4 of an inch down the midpoint and draw a curve. Cut along the curve and these places. So you will have something like this that is ready. And for the sleeve, you would have had something like this that was ready. I have the habit of using the same sleeve template for everything, so I have marked different sleeve lengths for longer and shorter sleeve, and I have given slits to mark the distances, and I use the single template for everything. So you would have got something like this for the sleeve, and this is for the belt area. Now I'll take my phone to the place where I've laid my fabric and show you how I marked on my fabric. Just a second. I will have to invert the camera. No, it doesn't let me invert it. Okay. Now I have folded the fabric into two for the body. Give me a minute. Fan is on, so give me a minute. I'll just show you how it comes. Yes. I have folded the fabric and marked the body, the back of the blouse, the front of the blouse, and the belts. I have decided to use a sleeve of different color. I have made 4 folds. There are 2 here, and this is a double fold, and these are 2 layers. So 4 fold and my sleeve. Make these markings on your fabric, and in the next tutorial I'll teach you how to stitch the whole thing. Cut these up and keep it ready. Thank you. Bye.